So we're filming this obviously with your consent, and we're going to go on a journey together. So for me, before I want to hear about your story, because people are going to watch this as well. I know your story. You're going to tell me more. I want everyone else to know a little bit about you and your story before we kind of get into it today. Really, my purpose in doing this with you is there's different ways of dealing with addiction, right? Most people will do 12-step programs, or they'll go to rehab. It works for some people. I think it works for about 5% of people if we look at it statistically, AA and NA. And whatever works for people is whatever works for people. Whatever gives them relief is whatever gives them relief. But I don't know, if I went to Vegas and I had some money and I was going to bet it, and I only had $1 million. That's all I ever had. And I had a 5% chance of keeping my money and making some, and a 95% chance of potentially losing it all. I probably wouldn't go to that crap table. I'd probably go somewhere else. So I just wanted to demonstrate a different way, a gentler way, a way that's less intrusive, that doesn't take however long it takes the average person to do the 12 steps. It doesn't cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars like the average rehab place will cost. I think in North America, it's 60 to 100 grand for a 2-week stay. So I wanted to show that there's a different one. I want to document this with you, with a real person going through some stuff, not a stooge, not somebody who's an actor. And you're going to tell your story in a minute, and people will know that you're for real. So I'm going to be working with Scotty over a period of time to help him overcome his addiction, specifically to alcohol. We're starting today. This is the first session. If you wouldn't mind telling people a little bit about your story, why you're here, what the addiction is, how it's affecting you, and what you've tried so far that hasn't stopped the addiction.
Well, I'm Scotty. Thank you very much, Luke, again for this. I'm anxious. It's been a long journey with the drink and drugs and gambling. Pretty much any addiction. I mastered it, and it's taken me to the depths of the hell, really. My main struggle, thank the good Lord, and this is the way I know him, that I was able to beat my drug addiction, but that was going through rehab and detox and NA. I don't have those same cravings anymore. My major issue is, and always has been, alcohol. And it's become very apparent to me, especially in the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years. But I've had this addiction well over 20. I'm 37 right now. I had my first drink, I believe I was about 12 or 13. And I'd stolen a bottle of wine off the table and brought it home. And I hid downstairs, played video games at like midnight, and drank this bottle of wine. It's just, I was hammered, but I didn't really even understand what hammered was at the time. I felt really good. So from there, it sort of led to, stealing some beers from my dad and whatnot at night, and like drinking them in my room in the closet and hiding the tins and everything. And then as soon as we hit high school, maybe grade 8, somewhere between going into grade 8, grade 9, which I have a daughter in high school right now. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's all good, man.
So it really started for me in the high school years, and it was like drinking to the point where we were stealing like 60s and 26ers and 40s of hard alcohol and beer and just about anything we could get our hands on. And I would just drink just to like black out. I was always the first one to grab the drink and the last one to black out or pass out. And it ended up leading into, my later years, my 1920s, when I was old enough to go into the bars. I was at the bars every night, getting polluted, absolutely hammered. I was having a great time. I like to sing, and I'm always the center of attention and the life of the party, quote unquote. And, back then it was all normal, or it seemed normal. I never really thought it was affecting anything. Brooklyn was born in my early 20s. She's 14 now. That's my daughter. And her mother and I actually have a decent relationship. And we are parents of a teenager right now, and the struggles are real. Her and I split when Brooklyn was very young. I then drank heavily alone, to the point where it was affecting my daily grind. I had ran a automotive accessories store in town here, and it wasn't uncommon for me to be hungover going into work, or having a drink or two before I had to go to work to just like calm my shakes and do that. I'm not sure how I hit it so well, but again, the alcoholism started catching up. The drugs were also kind of always back and forth, going hand in hand with each other. And then it got to the point where I was going out every night. I was meeting people. I was starting to fit into the new town I was in. And then it just became like a bigger problem. So I was drinking, a lot more, harder, faster, getting kicked out of bars, getting in lots of fights, getting in trouble with the police many times. Sorry to the Collingwood OPP. I've kept them on their toes for many years. And I know there's a few of them that follow my Facebook stories. From there, I managed to get into another a long-term relationship where it was again a lot of drinking. And now that the children are getting older, and they're starting to witness the hard effects of alcoholism, where one minute I could be like fine and be super dad, and then we'd get home, or I'd get home from work, and then by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, tired, and I'm hammered, and I'm a dick, absolute dick. Vacations, we vacation quite a bit, and I would spend most of my time hammered, blacked out, not knowing what happened, having the kids looking at me in shock and awe, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then came the time my brother had passed away. So I had recently, we just celebrated his fifth anniversary of his passing a couple of days ago, and when that happened, it was no holds. I was gone. I wasn't even I was on a 5-year. You couldn't even call it a bender. Like it's been horrible. To describe it, you can't even. It's very hard to put it into words. Just how badly one person can destroy everything due to a substance. It's wrecked my family, my mom, dad. I was homeless for a period of time. I was in and out of jail, in and out of the drug tank. Nobody knew what to do with me. They had to just lock me away because it was like if anybody saw me out, it was bad. It was not a bad. It wasn't good. My daughter had seen me, fall down drunk, passing out, coming home, with bloody knuckles and not knowing what had happened. And I also there was also a pretty traumatic point in my life when I was in school where I had a lot of family members perish in a car accident, and that was traumatizing. So I've been through like grief counseling, therapy. I've tried a lot of different ways. I've been in and out of detox and rehabs. I've been in and out of AA, NA, CA, NEA, the Canadian way. And I was just actually released from a short-term detox facility. I was actually in Toronto celebrating a birthday party with somebody I've been seeing. Well, was seeing. There's again the past tense. When the alcoholism, I was with her for 7 months, and getting out of Collingwood and kind of out of my shell and getting to the big city. And it's something I haven't done in a while. I was really excited, and I drank myself silly on the buses and on the train. And by the time I got there, her mother's there, and her brother, like her whole family was there. Her grandmother, or gran, and I mean, it was her birthday her birthday party, and I was a mess. I was a disaster for 2 days. I would just drink and steal any kind of alcohol I could get my hands on. And that goes in, like, that includes like, mouthwash. There was a point where I've even, I drank hairspray, vanilla extract, like just anything, just to numb out everything that goes on in my mind. And I mean, when I've been sober now, this is going to be day 3. I've been doing my journaling. I've been triggered multiple times, one being, major trigger, late last night, early this morning, and, up to 20 minutes ago. And the thought is always there, just to go by it. I had suffered, going back 2 years ago, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I had suffered a few head injuries, back to back, which were one was very, very severe. Again, there wasn't really alcohol involved on my part, but the people that had jumped me, they had been drinking, and probably on the drugs.
Was it concussion?
I've had multiple concussions over the course of the year, but I had two pretty severe ones that were within 3 months of each other. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was about 2 years ago. So it had affected my speech immensely, and it also affected a lot of like mobility. So it was a challenge to overcome that. And funny enough, I did some hypnotic therapy with another mutual friend, and it helped. It really made a big difference, and that's where I always believe, like, this is one of the greatest opportunities for me to try and just.
Your microphone is switched off.
Sorry.
That's all right. You just cut off the last 10 seconds.
Oh, I tried to block the calls here coming in. I'm not sure why it rang through. I have it on mute and everything. Okay. That's what I was hoping wouldn't happen.
Are we on your computer, or are we on your phone?
We're on my phone. Yeah, my laptop.
Maybe go to notifications or do not disturb. Maybe hit do not disturb. That's what I do on my phone, and then no calls will come through until you switch it off.
Yeah, I thought I went through and did that actually. Notifications, sounds, vibrations, silent mode. Yeah, do not disturb's on. I'm not sure why that rang through.
All right.
I'm not sure. Okay.
And, if anything else happens, we'll think of another way around it. All right. Okay. So where are we? We're at the concussions, some head injuries from a few years ago, into a scuffle you got into in the street. Continue.
And recently, after the stint in Toronto, I put myself back into a detox facility, which I just got out of last week.
Okay.
at that facility, it was a complete eye opener. There was a lot of young people in there.
Yeah.
And just a tad older than my daughter. And I mean, they were heavily addicted to heroin, meth. You know, I was just so brought back to like, holy smokes. My daughter will not talk to me. We have to mend the relationships. I have to be sober, and I have to make something work to build it up. And I don't want my daughter to experience what alcoholism really does to a person. She's seen it, but she's starting to follow the same sort of trends now, and she's at the age now where, you know, she's being offered, you know, different things, and things are getting stronger, and drink, and like the drugs are getting heavier and getting cut with different things. I just don't want her. I don't want her to get addicted to anything like this, and have to do this herself.
So you came back from rehab, what, 3 days ago, did you say?
It was the 28th or 29th.
Yeah. So we're recording this on the 6th, so about 10 days ago or so. It was rehab for alcohol. Since
Correct.
you've been back, have you drank?
Yes. So
right.
the day I got back, I didn't.
Yeah.
The following night, I had a massive trigger. Just with my my business that I had in town starting up again and really rocking. We ended up we had lost our location. And I was crushed. I drank, and I was on medication, and the two and two just didn't coincide together.
Yeah.
So I kind of that was another blackout night.
Right.
I believe I actually got a drunk in public ticket that night as well, which I have many of them. I couldn't count how many of those I have.
So you went to rehab. How long were you in the rehab for? The last one?
I believe 16 days.
16 days, all right. And you didn't drink for 16 days, right?
That's correct.
And then you came back, and the day after, you had a massive trigger. You started drinking again. We spoke just on the phone a few days ago just to set this up, make sure you're okay with everything, you're comfortable, and kind of give you an idea of what we're going to do. I think we spoke on Monday. Since Monday, have you drank?
No.
Okay. How come? And well done, by the way. The work is done. Congratulations. Hey, high five, Scotty.
Hey.
Quickest, cheapest
Yeah. See, we didn't.
Yeah,
we just had to talk on the phone. That was it. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
Didn't even need to do any work. It's all done. It's all cleared. So I'm genuinely curious, though. What's happened? Because we didn't do any hypnosis. It was just setting this up. If you were okay with it, and the process of Monday. Your friend was there as well on the phone. So I'm just curious, what happened since? And I didn't ask you not to drink as well. I didn't ask you.
No.
I specifically didn't ask you not to drink. And I know that there was a big trigger this week as well of an anniversary of your brother passing. So it was a tough week. So tell me, how come you didn't drink this week?
I basically, I went to work. The one spot that I do some motorcycle work out of, they will not allow me into that place if I even smell like mouthwash. They're very stern with me and my drinking. A lot of people in this area, I'm a bit of a figure in the area. Some people love me, some people hate me. It goes either way. You kind of
this feeling.
Yeah, when Scotty's not drinking, Scotty's an amazing person, but they call me Scotty 1 and Scotty 2 some days, and nobody likes Scotty 2.
It's like a Jekyll and Hyde, eh?
Yeah, and I figured I'd just kind of go to work once I'm busy and motivated. I started, doing my workout routine again, just at home. I started doing my meditations again, making my journals, my vision boards, and I put a lot of focus into that. I was out on some hikes and bike rides, and just trying to do anything to stop the craving. So I have to avoid pretty much a whole one side of this town,
Yeah.
because I will go in there, and it's always on my mind to just
So,
pick up one
yeah,
or two.
triggers.
I
So,
figured it would be a good idea to do it to commemorate my brother. He would not want me like this. So
yeah,
I figured I'd stop completely on the anniversary, and then that way I'm not going to be triggered every anniversary to drink, because that was a trigger for me to drink. So I
yeah.
tried to kind of reverse it, and I'm going to try and do it a different route. And I went to an AA meeting, a Zoom AA meeting on that day. You know, and some of the meetings can be very, very triggersome as well. Especially, you know, I've been in and out of them for so long. The longest stint I did actually sober was about 3.5 months. And the reason for that was because I had done so much internal damage to my insides. They were basically shutting down. So I was pretty much forced not to drink or use any substances. And it was such a challenge being, you know, in the environment I was in. I don't know how I managed. I was going to a lot of meetings, and I was the person I was working for at the time was like, they were all well aware of my issue. I've made everybody well aware publicly on my Facebook page as well, of the struggles. I've documented it, and they would just work me. And I joined up in some mindfulness groups, and joined in and just started doing some studying when I got home, anything to keep me occupied.
Excellent.
It's just, that was it. And then I just said, fuck it. As soon as I started to feel better, pardon my language, as soon as I started to feel better, I just said, fuck it. And I started to hide the drinking at home. And then finally I just, you know, ended up losing that job because of drinking at work.
All right. So you just given me a whole lot of stuff. A couple of things really interesting that you said about AA meetings triggering people, and in hypnosis, in change work, one of the things we need to do initially is we need to set up the neurological pathway in your brain, i.e. the pathway of the addiction or whatever the problem is. An example of this is typically if I'm working with someone who's addicted to, say, alcohol, cigarettes, sex, porn, shopping, gambling, cocaine, speed, I would ask them typically not to do their drug of choice for about 24 hours before the session, because I want them coming in and I want that neurological pathway to be lit up. In layman's terms, I want them to be triggered. I want them to be jonesing. I want them to be like, oh, I really want that drug right now. In the old days, when I'd work with somebody who's addicted to anything, I'd let them do their drug of choice. Let's say nicotine, for example, cigarettes, all the way up to the session, our first session begun. They'd come through the doors and I'd ask them on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being high, 0 being low, how much do you want to smoke now, drink now, whatever? And they'd always say, well, Luke, it's a 0 because I just smoked, I just drank, I just used. To which I'd say, well, how the hell are you going to know this shit worked? If you came in at a 0 and we've done nothing, how are you going to know it's worked at the end of the session? They're like, good point. So what I realized is I'd always require people not to do their drug of choice for at least 24 hours before. So when they come in, they're like, I haven't used for a while. So that pathway is in your mind is lit up being like, I want it, I need it, I desire it. So I'm curious for you right now, on the scale of 0 to 10, 10 being like, Luke, if you were here in person, I'd rip your arm out for a drink. 0 being, I have absolutely no sensation, no thought, no emotion, no craving, want, or desire for alcohol right now. Where are you honestly right now?
I'm well over a 10.
Thank you.
All I can think about. It's been on my mind. I've been up since 5:30 this morning, and have been triggered. Everything I'm making, I believe I'm making everything a trigger. everything I used to do. Like I was going to cut the lawn. You know, I'm like, oh, I can't cut the lawn without having a couple beers. I can't clean the shed. I can't do, you know, I can't do anything without drinking.
Yeah.
I'm
Right,
grateful that
sometimes I'm going to interrupt you when you're talking, because as soon as I get the information that we need, we're going to get on to the next part. And by the way, this is the last time, when we're done with this particular bit of the conversation, this is the last time we ever fucking talk about your addiction anymore. We're getting to the business of dealing with it. So this is why I'm letting you unload right now. Get it all out, because this ain't AA, this ain't NA, this ain't counseling, this ain't psychotherapy. Once this story's done and you put it out there, we ain't ever talking about it again. But you did say some really interesting thing about AA really triggering you. And I never thought about it to that moment. I have a few issues with AA, but interesting, when you think about it, and from speaking with you and other people, you go to a meeting, whether it be in person or it be virtual, and it triggers people. And it triggers people because they're hearing other people saying that they have fallen off of the wagon. They're in that environment where statistically most of the people are not doing too well at these places. They're in a desperate place, and you're going there in a vulnerable state. You're going there very suggestible, as we'd say in hypnosis. And yeah, there'll be a few people that will be doing great, which is amazing. But statistically, most people in that are going to be struggling hard. And it always reminds me of, like, it's like prisons, right? And rehabilitation of people coming out of prison and never ever committing another crime again is a tiny, tiny amount. Because you might get someone who did something, a misdemeanor, like stealing a loaf of bread or some milk, or something where, yeah, they were wrong, but it was a small level crime on the scale of crime. Yet they're in a prison, they're in a jail with rapists, murderers, violent offenders, and they're there for a period of time. And all they're learning is how to be better criminals and lifetime criminals. For me and many of these groups, even though I think they're well-meaning to begin with, AA, I believe, was created in the 30s or 40s. So this technology that they're using is about 80 years out of place. And it keeps people stuck in that mindset of triggering them. So oftentimes when I'm working with someone over addiction, and it's always their decision, I never tell someone to do this, but I often strongly recommend that they stop being on these Facebook groups for addiction or specific meetings for a period of time while we're working together, so I can know that the work that we're doing is clean and it's not being tampered with something that may be well-meaning like AA or a group, but oftentimes it's a bunch of people whinging and complaining about how tough their life is and pour me another drink. Rather than, now, if there was a group where we had 100 people who are addicted to alcohol who have not been, they overcame it. It's been 5 years. They're living amazing lives. And you're around 100 people like that. That's an amazing group to go to, because they're people that have overcome it. They're doing really well. Beautiful, beautiful beacon of hope right there. But this is not how most of these groups are created. So it was interesting about the actual groups triggering you. When we work together at the beginning, the purpose of me is to do a little trigger to set up the neurological pathway. But other than that, it's not to hammer in. The trigger's there. We don't need to hammer in with stories of addiction. It's just about doing the work to clear your path. You also said something very interesting. This week being the anniversary of your brother passing, it's 5 years, is it?
And that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, this is a huge trigger for you, where in the past, this trigger used to be everything about you reaching for drinks. And I know when we spoke the other day, you're like, Luke, I'm going to drink. I'm going to drink today. You know, it's the anniversary of my brother. And again, I didn't tell you not to, because we were just having a chat. It's never my job to tell you what to do, just give you suggestions. So every road into the problem, every trigger is also the road out of the problem. Whereas in the past, you know, as much as you love your brother, you use that as an excuse. Use it as an excuse to kind of numb yourself, I imagine, to the pain of the loss of your brother, right? You had a good reason. You had a good excuse to drink on that day. And that's the trigger, the road into part of the problem for you, one of the triggers. However, you turned that trigger around and you said, instead, and I didn't ask you to do this, but you were wise. You said, instead of this being about being a trigger, and your camera's off, by the way, There you are. There you are. Instead of it being like, let me drink and numb myself to the pain today, you're like, all right, without me telling you, you realize that's the road into the problem, but the road out, you reframed it in your brain. The road out is, yeah, my brother passed away. It's really tough. And I'm going to honor him. I'm going to honor his memory, and I'm going to use that pain, and I'm going to do something good for me that he'd be proud of, but more importantly, that I'm going to be proud of, and my daughter will be, as opposed to let me just numb myself to this pain like I've done for 5 or so years. So every trigger, every road into the problem is actually even the road out. So without me having to tell you that, I started to do that. So that's amazing. So tell me, on an average day, and we're going to get into the work in a minute, but on an average day, prior to the last 3 days, how much would you be drinking on an average day?
Absolutely anything and everything I could get my hands on, to the point where, you know, you'd either run out of money or you'd have to take it, you know, and sometimes it got as bad as the mouthwash. I would say anywhere from 8 to, 15 drinks a day.
Yeah. And I know that you've tried many creative ways of drinking as well, like hairspray. I haven't heard that one before. And mouthwash. So, did you spray it? I guess you just spray it into your mouth. I don't know.
I tried. I know. I didn't know either. I just knew that it had alcohol in it, and it was basically through. I just tried mixing it. With any, like, I can't remember. I think it was like Coke or like Diet Coke. I don't know. It was horrible. So I don't recommend it to anybody.
pretty fucking extreme, yeah. So
yeah.
Okay. So about 15 drinks a day. What is your ultimate drink of choice? If it was there right now, what's your ultimate drink of choice? If you could only drink one.
I would do probably a 40 or 60 of Scotch, or rum.
Okay.
Vodka. I like it all.
Yeah. And what does? Yeah. Okay.
In the mornings, I would have Caesars. Like, I would down the Caesars or the vodka sodas, just because it was really easy to get 2 or 3 into you really, really quickly. And then that would sort of get me through till mid-afternoon, and then I would be sneaking away, having more anywhere in the bathrooms or just wherever.
Okay. So I think we get like a good thumbnail sketch of where you're coming from, and let me. Oh, your camera's gone again.
This is me. I'm just trying because it rang through again. I don't want to have it. I don't know why it's on silent mode. It's on do not disturb.
Do not disturb. Okay. Switch off. Are you on an iPhone?
It's not. It's Android.
All right. So I can talk from an iPhone, but yeah, go to the settings in the Android equivalent, and maybe just switch off the phone little button there.
Yeah, it's calls. Have it on silent mode, vibrate in silent mode. Shit. But yeah, I'm not too sure.
All right. So yeah, between now and next time, check that out, because when we get into deep eyes closed stuff, there's nothing worse than your mum calling you in the middle of deep hypnosis.
And I've tried to tell everybody. I've blocked everything. Like, everybody knows this is going on. This is huge for me. Huge.
So let's. I want to give you a first tour. Right? And ultimately, what's your goal? Because I know where you're at. You were drinking at least 15 drinks a day. Actually, let me ask you one more thing before we get into just like Columbo. So far right now, give me in bullet points. How much has this cost you? And give it to me in money. Give it to me in emotions, jobs, relationships, being a dad, girlfriend, cars. Give it to me. Tell me everything that you know it's cost you so far up to this point to do this thing called alcohol.
Uh, you couldn't put a number on it. Couldn't like I've lost two houses. I haven't had a license for the last going on 6-7 years now. I had boats, cars, trucks, jeeps, everything all at the same time. Traveled, so relationships, everything has been completely, utterly destroyed. So I could not put an actual dollar figure on it. I've literally have lost everything every single time I drink. Anything and everything you have will be stripped of you.
And when we talked the other day, you were telling me like roughly, refresh my memory, how much you would spend on an average week on alcohol. How much? Do you remember? I can't remember what the number was. I did the math. On average, it worked out to about 56,000 a year. All right, 56,000, and that's just for 1 year. That's not the whole lifetime of the problem. That's your 38.
That's just buying it.
Yeah.
My birthday's coming up on the 14th.
And you started drinking when you were 13. Probably what, 58 grand, 56, 58 grand when you were 13. But that's hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So far, just forget about emotions, forget about the stuff that really matters. But as far as actually just buying the alcohol, not losing the jobs, the cars, the boats, the relationships, but just actually purchasing it, not even counting the missed opportunities, but just counting how much you've spent on it, probably over 500,000, probably, if I'm doing the math quickly inside my head.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Wow. And you were telling me about your health issues. Tell me a little bit more about what's going on in your body, what your doctor said when we chatted the other day on the phone.
So there's I've had gastro issues, major ones. I'm still working through those. Lots of clots and clotting. The most recent being one on my left lung. There's been stints where it's got to the point where you had to start thinking about like dialysis and just it's that I've lost a ton of weight, and my weight fluctuates immensely. So I was up to my heaviest at about 225. I'm about a 5'11", and I dropped to 143, I believe it was, or 147, and now I think and feel I'm a healthy 167. I'm the only one that the nurses, I was like proud I put on that weight when she weighed me. She's like, "Oh, you're 163 or whatever," and I'm like, "Oh, nice." And she's like, "You're the only one that has not put weight on during COVID. You're the only one that's proud of putting weight on during COVID."
Yeah.
But it's caused a lot of health issues as well. Yeah.
So all attributed to drinking.
Correct.
Tell me, you said something to me the other day about seeing your doctor and him saying if you continue to drink, what happened there? Tell me that story.
Actually, funny enough, one of the clinics that's who was ringing in. This was about a month ago. He's like, "Dude, you won't make it. It's killing you. It's going to kill you, and you will not have a long time to live if you keep this up the way you're keeping it up." And I didn't listen to him. And I went on another massive bender. I didn't believe him, and it landed me right in the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like 3 weeks ago.
And you told me so the other day, and mate, I want to make sure I'm right on this. Didn't your doctor say give you a life expectancy? Like not just if you continue to do this, you're going to die at some point. We're all going to die. And when people hear that, they keep pulling it off into the future. Well, everyone's going to die at some point. This is life. But he gave you a time frame, right?
Clearly, it may be between 6, 8 to 12 months, roughly, if I keep going the way I'm going to go.
This is pretty fucking serious.
Yeah.
6 to 12 months. All right. So we know enough of your story. So if anyone thinks this guy is a stooge or an actor, fucking look into his eyes. You know, some people do. They think like, oh, well, he's just made up, or they're just friends, or in cahoots. And some people they are the way that they are. So
my biggest thing is I just want my daughter. Like I really want to see my daughter and my health back. And yeah. So yeah, it's not a joke.
It's not a fucking joke. It's life or death.
Yeah.
So we know where you are. Last question before we get into it. You mentioned a little bit. Where do you want it to be? How do you want this to be? What do you want in its place? Addiction disappears. It's gone. It no longer hurts you. You're free. The handcuffs and shackles are gone. It's gone. What do you want that's positive in its place?
Love, and to feel the love again.
Feel love from others, from yourself?
Both.
Okay.
I'm just getting rid of being able to just, have my mind at ease, not thinking. So peacefulness, I guess, and love. And I want a life. I want a life back. I love relationships and traveling and, family, very family oriented, and the motivation that I had, and just not being able to just want to be loved.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that I can pretty much hallucinate, and I think I'd be right on this. There are a lot of fucking people that love you. And that isn't the issue. That's not the issue, is it? The issue is you don't feel it because you don't think you're good enough.
Yeah, I can't stop thinking of it.
Yeah.
And it's got complete control of my mind right now.
Excellent. So you ready to get rid of this shit? You ready to do some work?
Yes,
remember Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone? He used to turn that cap back. Remember the arm wrestling movie with Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah.
That meant he's fucking ready. He's ready to do some work here.